The call came in at 4:23 on the morning of May 11th, 2012. A house on Victory Road in Derby, England, was burning. Neighbors emerged from their homes to find flames consuming 18 Victory Road, orange and violent against the dark sky. Smoke poured from every window. Screaming could be heard from inside. Firefighters arrived within minutes, but the blaze had already taken hold in ways that defied normal house fires. The entrance hall was an inferno. The stairs were impassable. The heat was so intense that firefighters could not approach the front door for several minutes. When they finally forced their way inside, they found conditions that veterans of the service would never forget. The upstairs bedrooms had reached temperatures exceeding 500 degrees Celsius. Nothing could survive that. Nothing did. 6 children were carried from that house that morning. Jade Philpott, 10 years old, John Philpott, 9, Jack Philpott, 7, Jesse Philpott, 6, Jayden Philpott, 5, and Duwayne Philpott, 13. 5 of them were pronounced dead at the scene. Duwayne was rushed to the hospital, where he fought for 2 days before succumbing to his injuries. The community gathered in shock. Flowers piled up at the police tape. No one understood how such a tragedy could happen. No one yet knew that it was not an accident. No one yet knew that the father of those children had planned it all. Mick Philpott was 56 years old when his house burned down. He had spent those 56 years leaving a trail of destruction behind him. Born in Derby in 1956, he grew up in an ordinary English town, but nothing about his life would be ordinary. By 19, he was in the British Army and had begun a relationship with 15-year-old Kim Hill. To Kim, he was charming at first. That charm evaporated quickly. Within months, she was enduring beatings that escalated in violence and frequency. He struck her with pool cues in public. He broke her bones with hammers at home. He shot her with a crossbow because he disapproved of her clothing. He accused her of infidelity whenever he returned from army postings and used those accusations as excuses to assault her. Kim was still a child herself when she wrote him a breakup letter in 1978. His response was to go AWOL, break into her home, and stab her 27 times with a 9-inch knife. He stabbed her mother 11 times when she tried to intervene. He told paramedics not to bother saving her because he had done a good job. Kim Hill died twice on operating tables that night. Surgeons brought her back both times. Philpott served 3 years for attempted murder. 3 years for attempting to erase a teenage girl from existence. That early release would echo forward 3 decades. It told Philpott that there were no real consequences for his actions. It told him he was untouchable. After his release from prison in 1986, Mick Philpott did not change. He married a woman named Pamela, and they had 3 children together. Pamela became familiar with the same violence that Kim had endured. She learned to fear him the way Kim had feared him. But Pamela also knew what had happened to Kim Hill. She knew that Philpott had tried to kill his previous partner. She knew that reporting him might trigger that same response. So she stayed silent. She endured. She hoped he would find someone else and leave her alone. That hope was fulfilled in 1993 when Philpott began a relationship with a 14-year-old girl named Heather. He groomed her with the same charm he had used on Kim. He isolated her from her family. On her 16th birthday, Heather ran away from her parents to live with him. They had 2 sons together. Philpott beat her when she did not give birth to a girl. He taught his older sons to be violent toward her. When Heather tried to leave, he held a knife to her throat. He locked her outside in the garden as punishment. She eventually climbed a fence and escaped, but she had to leave her children behind to do it. It took years of court battles to regain custody. Heather later described Philpott as a Jekyll and Hyde character, charming when they met, violent afterward. She said he was 2 different people living in the same body, and you never knew which one would appear. In 2000, Mick Philpott met 19-year-old Maureen Duffy. She was a single teenage mother who had recently escaped an abusive relationship. She was vulnerable. She was looking for safety. Philpott presented himself as her protector, her guardian angel. They moved in together quickly. He took responsibility for her young son. When their daughter Jade was born the following year, he proposed to Maureen in the hospital. At the exact same time, Philpott began a relationship with 16-year-old Lisa Willis. Lisa was an orphan. She was a single mother. She was just as vulnerable as Maureen had been. Philpott brought her into the same house. Lisa became his mistress, living alongside his wife. What should have been a situation filled with conflict became something else entirely. Maureen and Lisa grew close. They confided in each other. Lisa treated Maureen's children as her own. In May 2003, Philpott married Maureen Duffy in a formal ceremony. Lisa Willis stood as the bridesmaid. After the wedding, all three continued living together in a 3-bedroom council house. Both women worked. Philpott did not. He collected their wages and the government benefits that arrived with each new child. And there would be many new children. Philpott was building something. He was building a family that would support him without him having to work. He was building a claim to a larger house from the council. He was building his empire on the backs of women and children. Mick Philpott understood the welfare system with precision. He knew that in the United Kingdom, benefits were calculated per child. More children meant more money. More money meant he never had to work. By the mid-2000s, his household included Maureen, Lisa, and a growing number of children. He fathered children with both women deliberately. He requested a larger council house to accommodate them all. The council refused, citing lack of availability. Philpott responded by going public. He appeared on the Jeremy Kyle Show in 2007, bringing both Maureen and Lisa on stage with him. He acknowledged his unconventional living arrangement openly. He defended his unemployment. He became agitated when questioned about his parenting. He made an offensive gesture to the camera. He told the host to talk to his hand. The media quickly dubbed him Britain's biggest scrounger. Investigative reports revealed he was claiming approximately £25,000 per year in benefits. That same year, he appeared in a documentary with conservative MP Anne Widdecombe. She spent a week with him, trying to persuade him to change. She found him 3 job opportunities. He did not show up for any of them. During filming, Widdecombe observed that Philpott lived in a caravan in his garden, while Maureen and Lisa alternated spending nights with him. She noticed that none of his children sought affection from him. She noticed that he used the word slag to refer to both his wife and his mistress. She left, convinced that he cared about no one but himself. To outsiders, the Philpott household appeared stable. The 2 women seemed to get along. The children seemed healthy. But behind those closed doors, tensions were building to a breaking point. Philpott asked Maureen to divorce him 3 times so he could marry Lisa. Maureen refused each time. In 2010, police were called to the house. Philpott received a caution for slapping Maureen and dragging her outside by her hair. Lisa was not safe either. Philpott hit her with a piece of wood. He threw hot coffee at her. He prevented her from leaving the house or speaking to other men. The violence was constant. The control was absolute. Lisa endured this for years, watching as Philpott continued to father children with both women, watching as the house grew more crowded, watching as the tension escalated. In February 2012, she made her decision. She told Maureen she was taking her 5 children swimming. Instead, she drove to her sister's house. She did not tell Philpott. She did not give him a chance to stop her. It was the only way to leave safely. For 3 months, Philpott seethed with rage. Lisa had taken 5 children, 5 sources of income, 5 weapons in his battle for a larger house. A custody battle began. Lisa wanted to protect her children. Philpott wanted them back. But Philpott did not want them back out of love. He wanted them back because they belonged to him, because they had value, because losing them meant losing money. The custody hearing was scheduled for May 2012. Mick Philpott knew he was going to lose. Lisa had escaped. She had evidence of his abuse. The court would likely side with her. So Philpott devised a different strategy. He shared it with Maureen. He shared it with a family friend named Paul Mosley. The plan was simple in concept. Set fire to the house on Victory Road. Blame Lisa. Claim she was trying to harm the family in revenge for leaving. Then Philpott would rush into the flames and rescue his children. He would emerge as a hero, carrying his kids to safety. The public would support him. The court would support him. He would win custody of Lisa's 5 children and keep the benefits flowing. The fire was scheduled for the night before the hearing. The method was chosen carefully. Petrol through the letterbox would create a dramatic fire that could be controlled. An unused ladder was placed at the back of the house for the planned rescue. Philpott would smash a window, climb in, and save the day. But Philpott did not understand fire. He did not understand that petrol accelerates flames in ways that wood and fabric do not. He did not understand that the moment the match touched the fuel, his plan would spiral beyond anyone's control. On May 11, 2012, at approximately 4 in the morning, Mick Philpott, Maureen Philpott, and Paul Mosley carried out their plan. They poured petrol through the letterbox. They lit it, and then everything went wrong. The petrol ignited instantly. The entrance hall exploded into flames that raced up the stairs and through the house. Temperatures in the upstairs bedrooms exceeded 500 degrees Celsius within minutes. The ladder at the back of the house was useless. There was no time for rescue. There was no chance for heroics. Upstairs, 6 children were sleeping. Jade, 10 years old, intelligent and well-regarded at her school. John, 9 years old, cheerful and polite. Jack, 7, the quietest of the siblings. Jesse, 6, the loud character of the family. Jayden, 5, who loved cuddles. And Duwayne, 13, the protector of his younger brothers and sisters. They died from smoke inhalation. The heat was so intense that their bodies were badly damaged. Duwayne was found alive and rushed to the hospital, but his injuries were too severe. He died 2 days later. Neighbors gathered in the street. They watched firefighters carry out small bodies. They watched Philpott stand among them, and they felt sorry for him. One local man, Bobby Sutherland, set up a charity to help pay for the children's funerals. Standing outside the fire-ravaged home, fighting back tears, he told reporters that Philpott loved his kids. He said nobody deserved what happened. He did not know that the grieving father standing beside him had lit the match. Police immediately classified the fire as arson. Petrol had been used. The letterbox was the point of origin. This was not an accident. This was murder. Initially, suspicion fell on Lisa Willis and her brother-in-law. They had motive. They had left Philpott. They were questioned and quickly cleared. Then police began watching Mick Philpott. They noticed his behavior did not match a grieving father. He requested a press conference and stood before cameras with Maureen at his side. He thanked the community. He announced the donation of Duwayne's organs. He asked for privacy. But a female police officer assigned to support the family reported that Philpott called her gorgeous. He suggested she come back to his hotel room. Police placed recording devices in the police vehicle transporting the Philpotts. They placed devices in their hotel room. The recordings revealed everything. Philpott was heard saying to Maureen, "You definitely sticking with the story?" He admitted, "It's my fault we lost our children." He was heard watching as Maureen performed a sexual act on Paul Mosley in the hotel room. He praised her afterward. "I'm proud of you because you didn't want to do it." Paul Mosley later admitted in police interviews that he had sex with Maureen over a snooker table just hours before the fire. Investigators believe Philpott orchestrated this to keep Mosley loyal. Philpott later admitted to having sexual encounters with both Maureen and Mosley together after the children's deaths, multiple times. Forensic evidence confirmed the plot. A discarded petrol container and glove were found near the house. Petrol was found on the clothing of Philpott, Maureen, and Mosley. The unused ladder at the back of the house was photographed and logged. The case against them was overwhelming. On April 2, 2013, The verdicts were delivered. Mick Philpott was found guilty of 6 counts of manslaughter. The judge sentenced him to life in prison with a minimum term of 15 years. Maureen Philpott received 17 years with a minimum of 8.5. Paul Mosley received the same. The charges had been reduced from murder to manslaughter because the prosecution could not prove intent to kill the children. The intent was to frame Lisa Willis. The intent was to win custody and keep benefits flowing. The deaths were a catastrophic miscalculation. In her sentencing remarks, Mrs. Justice Thirlwall made clear that while the fire was Mick's idea, Maureen bore responsibility as a mother. Her children died because she put her husband first. Maureen appealed her sentence. The Court of Appeal dismissed the appeal, stating that petrol on her clothing proved she participated in setting the fire. In November 2020, Maureen was released after serving half her sentence. She was given a new identity for her protection. Paul Mosley was released in May 2021, returned to prison for breaching parole in 2022, and released again in November 2023. Mick Philpott remains in prison until at least 2028. Psychologist Glenn Wilson assessed him during the trial and described him as, clinically, a psychopath with antisocial personality disorder. He views people as objects. Women are objects to be controlled. Children are objects to be used. 6 children died so Mick Philpott could get a bigger house and more money from the government. Jade, John, Jack, Jesse, Jayden, and Duwayne remain forever 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 13. Their father sits in a prison cell. Their mother walks free with a new name. Their mother's lover walks free as well. The question remains, when does the system recognize a monster for what he is? Mick Philpott stabbed a teenage girl 27 times in 1978 and served 3 years. If the justice system had held him accountable then, 6 children might still be alive.